that, let's address the elephant in the room. No, Trevin, we're not talking about you, bro. Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Convosaries. I'm RJ.
I am Dash.
And I'm Trevin.
And we are actually releasing this early. You guys know because you just got it.
Yep.
So, yeah, there's a reason that we're releasing an early episode this week. And you guys, I'm pretty sure you know, it's everything that's been in the news. But real quick before we get into that, Convosaries or Corona series is over with. We're out of quarantine.
We're done.
Yeah, we never addressed it.
Our state is out of quarantine, and a lot of states are, and it gets views, but not as much as the main show, so maybe time to phase it out.
Yeah, but thank you guys for tuning in for the Corona series.
Yeah,
That was dope.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Go back and listen to us when we were quarantined.
Yeah, we're gonna have different. I guess what would you call them?
I don't know. What do you mean?
Like, what was Corona series? It wasn't combo
like a
series.
side series.
Okay, yeah, we'll have different
like
side
bonus.
series.
Yeah, we'll keep doing them intermittently, but Corona series
They won't.
for now.
Yeah, for now, Corona series until we get quarantined again.
If it happens again,
Corona
wave 2,
series.
then fuck it. Maybe we'll bring it back.
Is over with. All right. So now that we've addressed that, let's address the elephant in the room. No, Trevin, we're not talking about you, bro. I'm sorry, man. I need some humor this week, bro.
There is a lot of heavy stuff going on in the news right now.
Yeah. Let's talk about the big one, the most recent one right now. George Floyd, rest in peace.
Rest in peace and shouts out.
Killed by, I forget the officer's name, Calvin.
I don't know his name. I can't.
Yeah, killed by this officer in Minneapolis. Or Minneapolis. I don't know how to say that.
Minneapolis. Like little apples?
In Minnesota. But yeah, so he was killed. The officer had his knee pressured on his neck for over 9 minutes. While George Floyd was, in fact, in handcuffs, and then 2 officers, other than the officer who had his knee on his neck, was holding him down. They were sitting on him, basically. Mm-hmm. They call this police brutality, which exactly it is, man. It's excessive use of force. And it honestly is something that we're tired of. So we had riots throughout the world, global riots.
Yeah.
In honor of the protests. Let me not say the protest
in honor of George Floyd.
The global protests were in honor of George Floyd. The riots, that's a whole nother story we're gonna get into. But yeah, so some of the cities around the world, other than the U.S., they did it, or countries, they did it in Canada. They had protests in Italy. They had protests in Berlin, Germany.
Wow.
Yeah, and the most recent one is Iran just protested George Floyd's death by police brutality. It's incredible, and it's crazy because the whole world can notice this, but it's crazy that some people who we live here with at home will deny it all day. You know what I mean? Let me get y'all's thoughts on this. I know people are going to get tired of my voice.
Well, nobody wants to hear my thoughts, but I think it's important.
I want to hear them.
We've decided as a nation that we're not going to allow this to happen anymore, and this isn't about George Floyd anymore, and that's not to disrespect or belittle anything, him or his family, or what happened to him.
I understand what you're saying.
This is an ongoing problem that's been an issue since the dawn of time.
Yeah.
And we've decided that we're not going to have it. It's like I've said before, I think it's with social media and the access you have to seeing these things is why it seems to be such a bigger issue than Eric Garner or Mike Brown. It seems like it's expanded more. People are more up in arms about it.
Yeah.
Than ever before.
Not just them, but you remember Botham Jean, who was killed by that policewoman who entered his apartment.
I do remember that. She walked into the wrong apartment.
Yep.
And he he
Sitting on his couch watching TV
yeah, and she thought he was in her apartment.
is what
and
she said.
Shot him to
Mhm.
death.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you
That
guys.
and hold on, Dash. That and I just got to get these names out here, man. To
How do you
honor
not
these
see
people.
somebody okay? That's not your couch. Like what do you-
Exactly. You should know. And then
That's ridiculous.
just
But
real
anyway,
quick,
go ahead.
Ahmaud Arbery, the guy who couldn't even go for a jog in his neighborhood without being hunted down by, what was it, 3 or 4 white men? They went and killed him. He was in his neighborhood. He's an athlete, like a really big athlete, or was a really big athlete. He was just jogging in his neighborhood. Went and got gunned down by these white people. What were you going to say, Dash?
So
Not just white
it
people.
seems like in America,
Specific white people.
like it happens a lot, especially with police doing it.
Mm-hmm.
What, like, how long has
Had,
this been
like-
happening for, bro? Like, in terms of police officers?
Always.
Oh, yeah. Do you know what the police were created for? Like the reason police were created?
Yeah, I learned that in the BSU last year. It was to control black people and keep them in
Yeah.
check.
The slaves, like right after slavery, after slavery was officially abolished, which, by the way, Juneteenth is coming up, June 19th, which is an Independence Day for black people, is the day that we got freed in this country. But so after slavery was abolished and we all got freed, the police were put in order as like slave catchers or like something. It was something like that to keep black people, oppressed basically. But yeah, so that's like what Trevin said. Always, that was
Yeah.
the whole goal of what that was. Now you don't have bad policemen. I feel like I must say that, but you also don't have good policemen. You have bad policemen, and then you have those quote unquote good policemen not speaking up against those bad policemen.
Which are also bad policemen,
Exactly.
in my opinion.
By the process of osmosis, you are also in the wrong.
And that's what I think is really important. I've seen whole police forces standing against this
Mm-hmm.
for the first time. You don't think you see that. You think, well, they might not agree with it, but they might turn a blind eye, protect their own.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen in some of these protests, like whole cities of the whole squad, the whole
Right.
force, like standing with Black Lives Matter
Mm-hmm.
in the protests. So
I just saw something today where like the crowd was chanting walk with us," and then like this sheriff, he like put down his stuff, his shield and baton or whatever, and just like walked with him.
And it is good to see the good news, and it is good that, I mean, the media isn't going to tell you all of these things. And there's a lot of videos that I've seen that the media is not going to show you. And
Mm-hmm.
I think sure, there's mostly probably good policemen, I think. And everybody always likes to bring that up, especially white people or policemen.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's not about that. Like, we understand that, like, nowadays in a modern society, the police are mostly around to protect people from other people who want to overstep other people's rights.
Right.
That's the idea. But there's still these, the cops aren't really supposed to, or necessarily required to know the law. I just found this out. Think about it. A lawyer takes, 6 years? What is it?
Something like that. I think it is.
To know the law, and we expect a cop to know it in 6 months.
Wow.
That sounds ridiculous. And I saw this, of course, on a Facebook post. It sounds like a Facebook post, but then I read underneath it that it would, they're actually not required to. They can have a reasonable idea of what the law is and pull you over and detain you for it. They don't have to. Now, to arrest you, they may have to have probable cause to search your vehicle, maybe, but they can really just, like, pull you over because what you were doing they thought was illegal.
Right.
And then that's up to you and the judge to decide later. And I've been told that by plenty of cops, I'm like, I didn't do it. And they're like, I don't care. It's not up to me. I decided I thought you do it. And whether or not you actually, you're getting charged, but whether or not you actually get convicted is up to you and the judge.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like...
And I hate the fact that we have to, or not we, because fuck it. I hate the fact that people decide to say there are good cops. I get that. We all get that.
That's not
But
the
there
issue.
are good black people, and these good black people are
100%.
being killed
Yeah.
by these cops. You understand? And I saw a post before, I came over here today. I saw a post that said, and I completely 100% agree with this. It said, I'm not no, it said it's not good enough just to be non-racist. Now you have to be anti-racist. And I
Absolutely.
completely agree with that.
I don't think there's.
What does anti-racism mean?
Against
Like,
it.
Not at all.
You can't just
Exactly.
sit down
I'm
and say,
against
well, I'm
it.
not racist. My
And
cat's black.
and a lot of people are being silent. Those people, they may not be racist, but they're not anti-racist. The people who are just being like, okay, well,
Stuff happens.
yeah,
It was an accident. Somebody
Yeah.
got killed who didn't have to die, but it's not cops' faults. Well, it's at least one. And all the motherfuckers that were standing around watching.
or at least 5 or 6 in the past 5 weeks. We've had so many incidents, and people are still just gonna just go ahead and say, oh well, it's not police brutality. How can you say that? And I know people all the time. Even you've asked me, Dash. You're like, what does racism look like? Because I'm not from the South. That's what you told me.
It depends.
Fucking look around. This shit isn't new. This isn't new. I come from Alabama, where the Montgomery bus boycott was like sparked. Rosa Parks. Martin Luther King marched to Selma. That's in Alabama. Like, this was the hub of the civil rights movement. And you think things got better? You think they got better? No. I've been dealing with this my whole life, and I'm tired of it. And I understand the outrage of some of these people who are going out and rioting.
Yeah,
Sue me. I don't care. I
saw your
understand.
post on Facebook where you said that you were going to riot, but you had work.
No, I said I was going to
He
go
was gonna go
protest.
to
Protest.
protest.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And
My
let's
bad.
talk about that. It's everybody's freaking out about, oh well, this isn't right, this is criminal, this isn't a protest, this is illegal destruction of property. It's not these. It's not the protests. There's, and I've seen, again, the media won't show you, but I've seen videos. It was like all the black people at these protests were protesting peacefully.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it was in our town's case, in our city, we have a curfew this weekend.
Right. It just started yesterday.
And it will end tomorrow at 6 a.m.
Oh, is it ending?
Because of the
Yeah.
riot. They flipped a cop car, set it on fire. They were burning stores and smashing windows. And when you see these videos, and because we live here, we saw them from people who took them on
Right,
Facebook. We didn't
exactly.
see them from
My
the
friends
media.
sent
The
me
media will
videos.
not show this. But, you have a line of peaceful protesting people with like signs, and they're there because they're an organized protest. People have microphones and they're talking about things, and then you see the craziness that ensued afterwards was mostly these teenage looking punk rock white kids with
Yeah.
skateboards
Yeah.
and bandanas,
Yeah.
and black people are getting all the hate right now and
We
all
get
the flack
all
for,
the blame.
well, this isn't the right way to protest, and this is illegal, and this is and fuck all of you.
Right.
And I'm not afraid to say that.
And if we were like starting this, we know for a fact. I have insider knowledge from different protests around the country, because I have friends who live around the country and they've gone to protest, and it's just what you said, Trevin. Is peaceful, and then all of a sudden you see these white people dressed in all black masks and black hoodies and stuff. They go start fires. They start vandalizing things like that.
I've heard cases that there's cops doing that.
Yeah, I've heard about that too. And then actually, I just saw this. Was it Surgeon General? He said something about that. Let me see.
It's not the first time it's happened. It's called a false flag operation. It exists in the English language in America because we use it in the military and on our own people all the time.
Okay, not the Surgeon General, because he has nothing to do with that.
I was wondering.
I'm tired of these people smoking cigarettes at these protests. It's not enough.
U.S. Attorney General.
U.S. Attorney General William Barr says peaceful protests are being hijacked by far-left extremist groups with own agenda. Now, I don't know if it is far-left. I don't care who it is. I hate the fact that we as black people, are getting blamed for this bullshit. Now, if we were to be doing this, now if this actually was our fault, fuck it. This is the land that we built. We deserve the right to burn it down. I don't give a fuck. That's what I say. Exactly. Comment what you want to comment.
Yeah.
Come from me. But it's and then people want to go ahead and say that systemic racism isn't real. This is an example of it.
I mean, me and Dash were talking about this the other day, but the reason we still have hoods and projects is because we designed these neighborhoods after slavery that were poor and where all the black people had to live, and we don't allow them to buy nice homes in white neighborhoods.
Right.
And that's why you have white neighborhoods, and then you have the ghettos.
It's the exact same way in South
because
Africa,
because some of
bro.
these things are still left
exactly
over.
the same, yeah.
Yeah. And can you guys tell that I'm riled up?
Well,
Yeah, bro.
and I mean, it's not for me to say whether it was right to ensue violence or not, and I can't say that I would disagree with anybody who felt that way, you know. But what I do know is this is the fight that I'm seeing all over social media. It's, you know, white people saying this was wrong and this was criminal and these were not protesters and that these are bad people, and then I see, you know, like people, not just black people, but people on their side are taking their side and arguing that they deserve to have these feelings and to feel like pissed off
Right.
and fucked over. And why wouldn't you? And so there's definitely an argument to be had there, but my thing is, like, that's the only argument I'm seeing, and I feel like I'm the only one who's noticed, like, these aren't the protesting black people causing these riots and this violence.
And let's talk about that, because Trump tweeted.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
He did.
I thought I'd give that a second to breathe there.
I didn't understand that tweet, bro.
I understand because I know exactly what he was saying.
Yeah.
So you guys remember a couple weeks ago when all these people went, you know, and stood at the Capitol or something. They had guns. They were protesting because they wanted haircuts. They wanted to go outside to the beach and shit.
Yeah,
white
I
people?
remember that.
Yeah. This is what he said about them. The government of Michigan should give a little and put out, excuse me, I don't know why I'm reading that like that. I'm just pissed off. Okay, the government of Michigan should give a little and put out the fire. These are very good people, but they are angry. They want their lives back again safely. See them, talk to them, make a deal. Now, this is what he's saying about Minnesota, what happened in Minnesota, the protesting. These thugs, all capitalized now, these thugs are dishonoring the memory of George Floyd.
Familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I won't let it happen. Just spoke to the governor, Tim Walz, and told him that the military is with him all the way. Any difficulty, and we will assume control. But when the looting starts, the shooting starts. Thank you. So.
Well, then shoot these punk ass kids.
Yeah, but he's talking about black people. That's what he's talking about. When the looting starts, the shooting starts. And then he did go and like apologize for saying that he didn't know what that meant. No, bullshit. You lived through these times. That actually was referencing back in the day, during the riots and stuff back in the day when they were still killing us. Still, the cops were. That, you know, they said when the looting starts, the shooting starts. And they were like killing us even more and still fucking getting away with it.
The getting away with it part is the part that I don't understand.
Dude,
the murdering people, like, I don't want to come off the wrong way when I say understand, but people have murdered people over petty differences for the entirety of history.
Yeah.
So that, I'm not saying I understand in a way that I can vouch for it or sympathize with it,
Right.
but I understand in the sense that I know that it happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I know why. But, like, I don't know, man. This is
Crazy, right?
It's just
Oh, you guys see my shirt?
Bro. It's a violation, man.
coexist.
Make sure you
Word.
guys are watching this on YouTube because we are releasing them.
I just want people to stop arguing on social media. I see so much shit that I can't even fucking.
I've seen a lot.
Yeah.
It's sad the people that you think you know,
Mm-hmm.
and then they turn. It's the same thing as All Lives Matter again, and I saw this meme that made it perfectly understandable. To say all lives matter is to say all lives matter too in response to Black Lives Matter is as if to say if your house is on fire
Mm-hmm.
and the police department comes to put the fire out, you say, no, spray all the other houses on the street first because they also matter and don't need to be burned down. Well, your house isn't fucking on fire,
Right.
stupid.
Right.
And I hope that analogy makes sense to everybody because what I was going to say is a lot more... I mean, when you say all lives matter in response to Black Lives Matter...
That should include Black lives.
We understand in modern times, on a general level, most people, that all lives matter. That's something that you do not have to say.
Mm-hmm.
It seems as though we have forgotten, however, that Black lives matter.
Mm-hmm.
So we need a reminder.
Right.
So when somebody comes out and reminds you to say, well, all lives matter, like you're shutting it down and you're missing the point. It's not that all lives don't matter. It's not that black people are more important. It's that they're people too. And we're letting people get away with this.
Tez,
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Tez showed me this shirt that I really want. It says "All lives matter," but really small under it. It says "Some restrictions may apply." That is a beautiful shirt, man. I'm gonna start rocking all types of black shit, man.
Yeah, got to, bro.
Hell yeah, fuck y'all, man. And by y'all, I mean these, as Charlemagne the God put it, huh? I brought him up.
Karen? Is it Karen?
No, I got to think about that too. But as Charlemagne the God put it, these mayonnaise flavored mammals, and it's a very specific one. It's not all white people, but these are some very heavy mayonnaise covered or flavored mammals.
I think I understand.
Yeah, it's saying cracker without saying cracker.
But it's like mayonnaise flavored is like a type of white people.
Exactly.
Once you like understand, you can like see them in your head.
Exactly. Yeah, I know, right?
You know the ones I'm talking about.
Yeah. Let's get back into it because you brought up Karen.
Yes.
You know how everybody knows how I feel about fucking Karens.
Oh,
Karens.
I don't think everyone does, Reg.
Unless your name is actually Karen and you're
I
a
don't
nice
think
lady.
everyone does.
No, I'm talking about these middle-aged white ladies specifically that like do stuff like call the cops on black people for doing nothing. And I have an example. This is where the term comes from, or that's where the term comes from. And here's the example. So did you guys hear about this in Central Park? This white lady called the cops on a black man who was a bird watcher.
A bird watcher.
Wow.
He's like the, I don't know, vice president of the bird watching society in New York City or something like that. But
Okay.
of course she didn't know that. But he was a bird watcher. So she called the cops on him.
I didn't know you could be that, but
I know, right? I didn't know those
Shouts
still
out, I
existed.
guess.
Shouts out to the bird
Shouts
watchers.
out.
But he was just minding his own business.
bird
you
watcher,
know,
do his job.
bird watching birds. And then so he asked her to put a leash on her dog because in Central Park that is the law. They cannot be like unleashed. So he's like, well, you know, you're supposed to be, you know, having the dog on the leash, whatever. And she basically was like, I'm gonna call the cops. She used these we call them buzzwords for black people. When you know that, oh, you're not bothering me, but now I'm not even threatened by you, but you just inconveniencing me as a black person. I'm gonna call the cops and get this problem taken care of, even though I'm breaking the law. So what she did was she told him, she was like, I'm gonna call the cops. He has this on camera. I'm gonna call the cops and tell them that an African American man is threatening me in my life.
Wow.
So that's just what she did. While, by the way, she's freaking choking the dog. She doesn't give a fuck about this dog's life anymore.
Fuck a
I
dog.
did see
Yeah.
that. That was in Central Park.
Yeah. Where was PETA? Number one.
Number one, fuck PETA.
Fuck PETA. But in this case, they needed it. Or the dog needed PETA. But yeah, so it's just stuff like that. So it's these Karens who call the cops on these black people minding their business. I remember not back in the day, but was it last year, I think? Some white lady called the cops on a black family for having a barbecue. Like, that was stupid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's people like that. That's who I call Karens. And fuck y'all too.
Fuck them.
Let's just go on a fuck you rampage today. So, mayoral candidate in Alabama, where I'm from, wants to bring back public hangings.
Say, again?
Yeah.
Why?
This mayoral candidate in Alabama
For
wants to bring
racists?
back
I'm with it.
public hangings. No, not for racists. He says for drug
For-
dealers, but we know what that means. I know what
Oh,
it means because
no.
I'm from there. But he wants to bring them back. Like, he's running. Like, he's doing pretty all right in the polls.
Mm.
Remember, I told you this is where I come from, Dash.
Mm.
I
Well,
know. I know
Take the time
what
to
shit
tell
looks like.
all your family out there to not vote for this man. And what's his name?
I don't think they're in that city. I forgot his
You
name.
can't bring back public hangings. No, they wouldn't let you do that.
I,
Would they?
I don't know, but the laws in Alabama are really old and have not been changed for a long time,
Yeah, but
so
there's
I
like
don't know.
this whole thing in Texas about like the electric chair still. It's like a
It's not against the law in Texas, though.
controversy, though.
It's not against the law in
It's
Texas.
not gonna be for very long.
Yeah, which
Have you seen this one? This is what I thought of when you said that. This lady,
what is this lady doing?
she's calling the cops, and is this a different one now? It doesn't look like the same lady.
This is like 3 different ladies.
It was like a little black girl selling lemonade.
Oh
like a
yeah,
lemonade
yeah,
stand,
and she called the
was
cops
like,
on her.
I'm calling the cops.
Yeah,
And
fucking
look,
Karen.
her
man.
face. I'll put the face on her face on screen later, but her fucking Karen ass face. And she's like, I'm calling the cops.
Oh, that's a fucking Karen, bro.
Did you see the little smirk
Karen.
at the end? Put that on the fucking thumbnail.
Bro,
know, right?
you know what I'm curious about is like what's gonna happen after the protest. What is gonna be in effect? What's gonna change? Cause it's not like we're not gonna let this pass without anything changing. That has to. That was
right.
that was the like whole purpose of the protest, right?
Now, normally, Dash, I would have answered that question a different way. This is the way I would have normally answered that question. What's going to be different about after these protests? Normally, I would have said it would. If history repeats itself, it goes back the exact same way. But this thing has gone global. That's my only saving grace, or my hope, that this thing has gone global. You know what I mean? And the last time something this has gone this global that involved racism, it incited World War II. Unless I'm wrong. I can't think of anything else.
The Nazis
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
and the Jewish camps and stuff.
Yeah,
That's probably the. Yeah, I mean you're probably right. I don't know.
this is back in what,
I'm
41,
not a historian,
39.
but
But yeah, so, but now, since it has gone global, I'm hoping that something happens. I can't tell you what. I don't know what that looks like. I've never been on the other side of racism.
I'll give you just a little tip of the iceberg. The laws have been changed to allow you to charge police with the same crimes that you can charge civilians. In other words, a lot of people may not know this, but you cannot charge a policeman or law enforcement officer with like a weed charge or a murder charge in the same way that you would try a civilian in court.
Mhm.
They basically either get like 2-week paid leave for
Mhm.
killing somebody on accident.
Quote unquote accident.
Worst case scenario, they lose their badge forever. Worst case scenario, that's all that happens.
Right.
They have to go be a mailman or
They
something.
lose their pension and shit.
Now, so
That's what's happening right now.
the man that murdered George Floyd has actually been charged with murder.
That's old. Now, the DA is saying that he doesn't think that there's enough evidence to charge him.
Well, here's the thing. That may or may not be an issue, but and what I was gonna say next is whether or not he gets convicted of that charge is an entirely different
True
story.
that Zimmerman
However,
got charged,
he
but he wasn't convicted.
Charged, and that's kind of a big deal.
I
When I say that, if he gets off, like it's still like it was for nothing, but it's a step in the right direction, even if just a tiny little bit,
and I have to disagree, Trevin.
and that's fine.
I don't think it's a big deal. I think it's preliminary. It's the prerequisite. That should be the standard.
Absolutely.
Now, in the case that has happened to, black people for years, that would be the big step. I understand where you're coming from with
Yeah,
that.
I think that it's the turning point, perhaps, where we decide, okay, we're not going to let motherfuckers get away with this.
And then
That's what I'm hoping for.
And then again, Zimmerman was charged. He went to trial, and he's still walking around out here selling fucking bags of Skittles and autographing hoodies and shit.
And that's
Yeah,
an absolute
and he tried
travesty.
to sue. He tried to sue the family for what was it, $1 million or
Defamation.
something like that. Yeah, sue the family of Trayvon Martin, the boy that he killed. He tried to sue their family. White privilege isn't real. Kiss my fucking ass.
Oh.
What do you think about that, Trevor?
I'm pretty privileged and I'm pretty white, so I'm gonna back off of that one.
Did you guys hear about the CNN reporter getting arrested?
I did not.
The black and Hispanic CNN reporter. So, what happened was he was covering the news of the protests and everything, and then I guess right as the riots was breaking out or after or something like that. But from the video, it looks like he's okay. And somebody ran by, I guess, close to them because they were far enough away. You could see it in the background where the police were. So somebody ran up close to them, I guess, and then the police ended up like catching him and arresting him. And then so now the CNN guys, the reporter and his crew are surrounded by cops, and they're telling them, "Hey, you need to move. You know, get out of here because you know you can't be here. Shit's about to pop off." And then the guy was just like, "Okay, sure, I'll move. Where do we need to go? Just let me know, where can I stand? Because, you know, I'm with CNN. They announced themselves, you know, everything they were supposed to do." And then about 30 seconds go by, and they just arrest him. Yeah, they arrest him. And then the guy asked, he's like, "Why am I being arrested? Why am I being arrested?" And then the cop even told him, "I don't know, I'm just following orders."
What?
Eventually, the whole crew got arrested, but now I heard another angle to this because Trump hates CNN. I don't know if there's something to that, but
He
heard
does.
that.
I was watching a video, a compilation of his most savage moments on TV, just calling people out or
Yeah, let's
his
get into
his
Trump.
comebacks to them, and every time a CNN reporter at one of these press conferences asks a question, he goes, shut up. CNN is fake news. I don't take questions from CNN. Shut up. I don't talk to you." And that's like, you don't see presidents doing that
Well,
No.
till now.
yeah, yeah. I said, well,
Till now.
so
Now we've
let's
seen it all.
talk about Trump some more
Yeah.
and Twitter. You guys heard this, huh?
I've been saying since day one.
Trump
get the
is
fuck
going
the hell
against
off of
Twitter.
Yeah,
I
and
saw
that's the
that.
big news right
And they're
now.
signing a bill too.
He signed an executive order, you know, because okay, so let me just back up and tell you guys what happened.
They fact checked him.
Twitter said something, they fact checked him, and like they started putting fact check tweets like under a few of his tweets and everything. And end up Trump was wrong, and they, you know, did that. And so he was like, "No, whatever," and he signed an executive order. Like, what was it? What did he
Banning
say?
them, basically, from being able to say anything.
To censor, banning
Censorship.
social medias from censoring. Now, I will say that isn't that illegal? They're a private
Censorship?
company. They're a private company.
So is
No.
the cable company. So is DirecTV.
Yeah.
But I'm saying private companies have the right to do any. Say, with this studio,
Sure.
it's a company now.
Yeah.
So the studio, you can put any guidelines you want. It's a private company. You can put any guidelines you want on anybody coming through this door.
As long as those guidelines follow the law.
Yeah.
way.
But I mean, law, and then he can make his own, like, even more restrictions. That's because it's a private company. Social medias are private companies. They can do whatever the hell they want. I understand that. But Trump does have a good argument, and let me tell you why. Because it came out that some of those fact checks that Twitter did were wrong.
So they were making up information.
Not all of them, but a couple of those
He
tweets
may
came
have
up wrong.
embellished a little bit to make him look a
and
little
Trump
stupider.
ended up white. Yeah, I mean, right.
He's not white anymore. He's some kind of orange.
Orange. Cheeto flavor.
He's not one of
Cheeto.
those.
But yeah, so I understand where Twitter is coming from because I want to back these private companies. I really do. But
the
you done
same
fucked up
time-
now, Ron.
Yeah,
You done fucked
a
up for
colossal
real,
one
though.
too.
Right.
Yeah, you got caught. You thought you'd get away with just a little bit of embellishment.
Mhm.
We'll mostly say shit that he got wrong that is true.
Right.
But then we might throw a little, it's like that game. I'm going to say 3 things about me, and one of them's a lie.
2 truths and a lie. It's like, damn, Twitter. Like, and to Trump, fuck, I don't want to like compliment this man. I really don't, but he's done a couple of good things. So to this, let me just say it. He did bring Twitter back alive. Twitter was
He did.
dwindling. Their
Yeah.
stocks were going low until he
Yep.
started like tweeting, not just when he became president, but like when Obama's administration, all that stuff. Like, so when he started tweeting then, he brought Twitter back alive. Stocks were low. They're not now.
Twitter did make a huge comeback.
And
It
one,
did.
It
I
did.
didn't even relate that to the president.
Yeah, it was him.
That makes sense. This is the same time frame.
And this other thing. So you guys know, can we talk about COVID real quick for a minute?
Sure.
And Trump. Damn it, man. I really hate this. He's done some good stuff. Okay, so right now he's fighting. Okay, so
You like Trump. No,
I
I'm just kidding.
so you guys know that Bill Gates and Dr. Fauci are fighting for global universal vaccines. Like, you
I've
will
heard.
not have a choice in taking these vaccines.
I've heard.
Trump is, and some other people are like actively fighting against that right now. So I'm not gonna give him a shouts out.
Dash
but
is an
just
anti-vaxxer.
marinate on that. Dash is an anti-vaxxer?
I'm not gonna get a coronavirus. Like
No, I'm not gonna take the vaccine either.
Yeah, I'm not.
Why?
Because, man.
Even if it just gives you the coronavirus.
Reg,
you'll
you
probably be
know,
fine.
you already know, bro.
You know what the fuck?
Yeah.
All right.
Probably be fine.
So
Here's what happens to most people, like 99%, especially people our age,
Mhm.
and young, healthy men, and you're a lot healthier than I am.
Thank you.
You get it for 2 weeks and you don't know you have it,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get a cold for 2 days, you don't feel so well, and then you go back to work.
See, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. That's why I'm like, I don't want a vaccine. And another thing too, and this goes back to systematic racism. So, see how I tie it back into that?
Yeah,
Are you gonna talk about what I think you're gonna talk about?
he might.
Maybe.
It's my favorite conspiracy theory ever. It might not be what you're talking
I
about.
don't know. I gotta know though. After I say this, I gotta know.
I'm thinking about the same thing too.
So back in the day when they were testing out syphilis and everything,
Okay.
they put it in the black communities. They marketed it as a vaccine. And then so all these black people were like going, it's in their communities now. And it was literally only in these specific communities. And they were giving them syphilis to study the effects of it. And then that's how like, and then they did the same thing with fucking crack. They put it in the communities and everything. But
Crack's
that's
a weird one.
that's my thing. But the whole vaccine and the
Do you
syphilis
think
thing.
all drugs were invented that way, like meth?
Maybe that's how they distribute
Or
it.
like they just give it to white people in trailer parks and watch them like squirm like rats in a thing?
Oh, dude.
Probably not. I think
Meth
Hitler's
is a white
doctor
drug.
and Hitler. That's what I said. Like,
Oh,
like,
okay.
white people in trailer parks. They just give them meth and watch them like rats in a cage.
Fucking. They probably do, bro. We
It's
have
a
this
funny
new
idea.
thing. It's called crystal.
It's really fun to smoke, man. I'm just kidding.
I've heard stories about stuff.
But did you guys know that 50% of the cases of coronavirus are African Americans?
57?
50%.
50%? Oh, yeah,
50%.
absolutely. And you know why?
Tell me, Reg.
The healthcare. We have lack of access to healthcare.
That's true.
Yeah, people like. If you think about like what we were talking about before, like being confined to the hood,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
is there's so many
So
more
little.
people in such a small area. It's not that they're all stuck in the same area.
Mhm.
It's that we pack them in,
Right.
and there's like no money there. There's
Right.
no like we give them a building to all live in together or a complex of buildings,
Right.
and it's poor.
Exactly. And that's why
Yeah,
black people
all
are
these
more
people that
prevalent
don't
to
have
health
access
issues and stuff
to
like that.
a lot of things.
Exactly. So with that being said, I just wanted to make a statement and saying that I've always seen myself as Martin Luther King Jr., but now I'm really feeling like Malcolm X.
Okay.
So I understand these people who are going out and fucking tearing shit up. Fuck it, man. I don't agree with it. You ain't gonna catch me out there doing it. But I ain't mad at you.
Can't blame them necessarily.
Right. I did want to talk about one like serious thing real quick. I don't know if it's happened to you. I'm not sure. Dash, but African American households, every parent has to have the talk with their kids, and I'm not talking about sex. This talk has to do with how to deal with police and what you're gonna go through being black. And it usually happens when the kid experiences their first racist moment. I can't remember mine. I remember one of mine, but I can't remember my first time experiencing one. To where I had to have that talk with my mom. I just remember having the talk with her though. And it's basically you have to, okay, if I have a kid and I'm telling my kid, okay, if you ever come in contact with a police officer, just don't be combative, do what they say, listen to them, just make sure you make it home tonight. And this is not a recent thing. It's been going on.
Yeah.
My parents had the talk with their parents. This thing has been going on. Like, I just want you to make it home. Just make it home tonight. And it's something that I know white people don't know about this. Did you know this?
Oh, well, I wanted to tell you, actually, that, like, I have... There's not a lot of black people from around here, but I'm friends with all of them. Mm-hmm. Not really. But I do know a lot of... I have a lot of black friends that are here.
Right.
And, like, I know a lot about... Like, not that I know a lot about your culture, but I've learned a lot.
I get it.
And I had no idea.
Oh, you still
This
didn't
is
know.
brand new
I
to me.
actually kind of thought you might had an idea just
Nope.
because I know you,
I
Trevor.
wanted to give you some background because you do know me like that. But, yeah, I mean...
Yeah, that is
no
definitely
idea
a
that
thing.
is news.
It is literally a thing, and I hate it.
And I think that it needs to be out there
Get
for
emotional,
people to
man.
hear that don't understand that, because there's a lot of white people that think it's a fucking joke.
I haven't had the talk, but some older lady who I look as a mentor told me that
Yeah.
when you deal with a situation like that or with people like that, you have to hold yourself in a certain way.
Yeah.
Because they're looking at you in a different
Already.
way. And they're also looking at the subtleties. So
Right.
you got to be careful.
Every minute detail, yeah.
Yeah, bro.
It's also a thing that this is also part of the talk that we have to work twice as hard to get where everybody else is at. And that is I swear to you, that is not a lie. Because of those exact same things that Dash just said. We're already being scrutinized, literally just from eyesight. We're already being scrutinized. So, yeah, that's definitely, you had the talk, Dash.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had the talk. Was it when you got here to the U.S.?
Yeah, bro. Like, in South Africa, it's different because how I grew up, my parents really sheltered me, bro, from a whole lot of things.
Right.
It was go to school and back home,
Mm-hmm.
And then all the other stuff in between was kind of, we didn't really talk about those things.
Yeah.
We saw it happen,
Mm-hmm.
but there weren't those conversations. And then coming to America, it was like, whoa. Because, first of all, I had cornrows before I came to America.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom was tripping out about me having cornrows flying on a plane. She was like, nah, they're going to, like, blacklist you. They're going to search you. They're going to have all of these assumptions.
Right.
I was like, nah, I'm cool.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wasn't exposed to the world in that way.
Right.
And then coming here, Utah's cool. It's relatively, I mean, the majority of the people here are white, but they're inclusive. There's a little bit of diversity, but it's not like the South,
Right.
And that's something my parents took into account before sending me here.
Yeah.
I had these conversations this conversation years later, and I was like, what? The
Yeah.
fact that they had to consider that, you know, and I was like, damn.
Yeah, and honestly, being black, you don't even have to be doing anything. Uh, I forget her name. She was shot in her house because the police came in and like they busted into the wrong house and they didn't announce themselves. And then so the woman's husband, you know, he was, what do you call it, licensed with a pistol, and he started shooting back. He shot 8 times, but then they came in and killed the wife. Yeah, and I haven't heard anything else about that since. So we don't even have to be freaking doing anything. And then
what was is it Eric Garner
mhm.
who sells loose cigarettes or
Yeah.
allegedly and got choked out?
I can't breathe.
Yeah.
And then years later, we still can't breathe and still
That's
getting
why
killed.
I said that sounds familiar, doesn't it? Like, what the
Yeah.
fuck are we still doing? Anyway. Allegedly, he didn't even have cigarettes on.
Oh,
Did you know that? Most people don't
I
know
didn't know that actually.
that. You know? And also, George Floyd's supposed, what was it, fraudulent check?
Mm-hmm.
The reason that they were detaining him in the first place turned out to be real.
Interesting.
So that's something.
Did you know that the officer that killed him, they worked together in I think it was a Latin club, and they were security guards. I think they said George Floyd worked on the inside and the cop worked on the outside. A lot of people were saying that maybe they never met, but I mean, if you know how clubs and that business works, you need to have all of those bouncers all together, go over the plan, what we're doing tonight, especially if you have events, and then say, all right, guys, break up, and then you go to your respective spots. So I don't see how he couldn't have, once in a year and a half of working with that guy, seen him.
Man.
Freaking plot twist.
I got some statistics here that I want to share with you guys real quick.
All right.
So, you guys have heard of the riots that happened in Salt Lake City. So, from that, 21 officers were medically treated and 41 arrests happened in downtown Salt Lake.
You mean
During
the
the
riots that
riots?
happened yesterday?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then in Minneapolis, some people were arrested as well. I'm not sure on the numbers.
They killed a cop here in Ogden, didn't they?
Yes, in my
Couple days ago.
hometown, they shot two. Well, a man shot two. It was a domestic abuse call,
Mm-hmm.
which there's a lot of out there, drunk guys, beating on their wives or whatever. The cops were called by the woman. She says, my husband's freaking out. He's going crazy. He says he's going to kill me. He's violent. So the cops showed up to the call. They met the man on the porch. He was very aggressive and unresponsive. He immediately ran inside the house and slammed the door.
Mm.
The cop rushed to follow him. As soon as the officer got to the front door, the man had already grabbed a weapon and
And blasted
fired
through the
multiple
door.
times through the door
Damn.
and killed the officer.
Damn. R.I.P. man.
Yeah, and that's the thing, dude, is like this cop was young and he was only 15 months on the job.
Yeah.
Can you imagine all of his family that didn't want him to become a cop because
Yeah.
it was dangerous, and now they're like,
And
Yeah.
and then we had the riots here in Salt Lake City, and all these cops were on edge. And real quick, shouts out to you, Trevin. Shouts out to you.
okay,
I was telling you earlier, but the people who listen to this podcast need to know this. You have some really great white people out there, guys. So when the riots were going on yesterday, well, for us, it was yesterday. For you guys, it was probably almost a week ago.
about a week and a half ago.
A week and a half ago. So for us, we had our riots yesterday, and I wanted to go, but shit got crazy. I was at work, but then I wanted to go, but shit got crazy. I was like, oh,
Remember,
nah, I'm
we
going
wanted
home.
to go to the protest, not the
The
riot.
protest. You're absolutely right. I wanted to go to the protest, not the
So
riot.
did I.
Not
the riot.
not the right. But they ended up turning over a cop car, setting it on fire. One black guy got shot with a crossbow. Some white guy shot him. We'll talk about that in a second. But me and Tez were talking about how we have good white friends. A couple of our friends texted him, to make sure we were good. And Trevin, next thing I know, Trevin is sending me a text. Hey, bro, I heard shit's crazy in the city. You all good?
Because you're like in the city, bro.
Right. And I'm like, yeah, I appreciate that. And I told you, I really appreciate that. It meant a lot, dude. So thank you. Shouts out to Trevin.
Shouts out.
I appreciate the. I'm flattered, but it's also not about that. It's about doing what's right, and I'm not saying anything that I'm saying today for people to go, oh, he's not racist or anything. These are
Right.
things
I know
that
him.
absolutely need to be said, and I don't give a fuck what you think about me. So there's that. But I do appreciate you. And I was worried as fuck.
So much man love on this show.
I
That's
know,
what
right?
Convosaries is for.
Man
fucking love y'all, bro.
Love y'all too.
So let's talk about that dude. White dude shooting out crossbows. Okay, did y'all see his?
I didn't understand that guy.
I saw the video this morning.
Did you see the interview that he gave?
No.
The interview was absolutely different. So let me talk about the video of actually what happened. Cause like we said, guys, we're here in Salt Lake City. We get videos of stuff that y'all ain't gonna get. Cause our friends are actually down there doing this stuff too. So this white guy. Apparently he stopped because he was driving through the crowd or whatever, and then they dented his car. He gets out with a motherfucking crossbow and starts to load that motherfucker up. So this is where the video kicks in. He's loading the crossbow. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh my god.
And so he's like, he gets it loaded. He, pulls it up, starts aiming at people. He's like, flinching one time because I thought he was gonna shoot it at somebody. He's like, oh, I guess they ducked. It looked like somebody probably got away or some shit. And then the only black guy I seen in the crowd popped his ass,
Straight up.
got him, and so he's laying on the ground. And if you know anything about crossbows, Dash, you have to reload them motherfuckers. You don't have like
it
a
takes
clip.
Takes a lot
The
of
crowd, when I say they
Open the
jumped
bag
on
and
his
pull out the
ass,
thing and-
right? Everybody jumped on his ass.
Yeah.
And so the interview that he gave later, they were like, what happened to you? How'd this happen? He was like, yeah, I was in my car and I came up to, help out with the weapons I do have. He like glossed over that shit. With the weapons I do have. And I came and my window was down and I got attacked. All I said was, all lives matter, and I got attacked. And they were like, oh, who attacked you? 2 black African Americans. I'm like, what the fuck? I literally saw one black person in all the videos I've seen.
It's important to recognize the difference because there are also white people from Africa that
That
move
is
to
true.
America and they become African American.
That's true. If Dash gets his citizenship, he'll be African American. But he's black. So how do you distinguish that? No, he was
African.
like, 2 black African Americans came up and just started beating me through my window, and I had to wait for the cops, and they finally came. When clearly this dude is outside outside of his car, shooting bows and arrows.
So they said he dented the car? So they were like punching at it or what?
I guess.
I don't understand that dude, man.
Probably, but he went and shot a motherfucker. He did. But it's shit like this, and
He
then
deserved it for saying all lives matter.
right.
We know. That should be the response to all lives matter.
He did
we
it.
know.
He
It's
did
not
it
about
for
that.
saying all lives matter while pointing a bow and arrow right before he shot someone. He deserved every bit of it.
I hope he gets shot with
But
a
then-
homemade bow and arrow in prison.
I don't know if you know that, right? That would be fucking dope. So they on TikTok, I'm gonna have to fucking delete TikTok again. They are banning, or they banned the hashtag Black Lives Matter
Why?
Wow.
because they've already been racist. Have you not paid attention to the racist videos everybody was making?
I saw some
That was a
racist
big thing.
incident in China, and I know that's where
I do
TikTok's
not.
from.
Like racist videos on TikTok was a huge trend for like 2 weeks straight.
I do not recall.
Yeah.
I don't watch TikTok though. I watch the compilations of the good
Yeah,
ones.
you
on
see
Yeah.
TikTok from other
The
stuff.
ones
Yeah,
that
I
are
watched
like
my
vines.
TikTok through Instagram.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that shit happened.
Well, that's unfortunate to say the least.
To say the absolute least. I'm trying to make sure I get all my black stuff in here. You guys hear about Doja Cat? You know who that is?
I know who
Yeah.
she is.
I know Doja Cat.
Yeah, fuck her too, man. So she
her.
was caught in racist chat rooms. Number one.
Number one, get the fuck out the chat room.
Showing her titties, twerking. Sorry, Trevor.
I'm good.
Oh, I
wasn't
hope y'all
expecting
were
that.
watching that.
What?
Showing her titties, twerking, and then like having so much racist rhetoric. She also had a song. What is it called? What is the fuck it? The song called "I Ain't Do Nothing" or "Didn't Do Nothing." Did you know that's racist?
I did not.
No.
I didn't know either. Since like back in 2011 or something like that. So it's about this shit. It's about police brutality and everything.
Okay.
How when black people this happens to us, we're always saying I didn't do nothing.
Let me guess. It's all about how it's. Whoa, hello.
Uh-oh, sorry guys.
Okay, let me take a guess. It's all about the white perspective on why black people get harassed and murdered by police.
The song, I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know about her. I can't cancel her because I never listened to her.
But apparently that song's
But fuck her.
racist. So how?
Yeah, well,
What is it
the
about?
term is racist. Didn't do nothing. That's where she got it from, apparently. So the term, like they always talk about us, like, oh, look at those didn't do nothings.
Oh.
Yeah,
I've never heard that one.
right.
Yeah.
But it sounds like a
Neither.
southern like slur. Like
Doesn't it?
we just call them that. I was gonna say it, but now I can't. I know what it means.
Oh, and for those of you who don't like Trevin, fuck you too.
Yeah,
Look,
fuck all
he just
y'all.
called himself real quick. I wouldn't have even called that. Good job, Trevin.
It's like fucking Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Have you seen that?
I've seen. Was that the first or the second one? The second one.
Yeah, no, it's
Third one?
there's Clerks and then Clerks 2, and then Jay and Silent Bob were the drug dealers that stood outside of the store, and then they got their own spin-off. And it was the first one, I think, that was not in black and white. Or Clerks 2 might have been in color.
I don't know. I saw one where they were doing some type of road trip. It was long ago though.
It sounds like Jay and Silent Bob.
Okay, that's the because I know I've never seen Clerks.
It's got a joke about a phrase. He said, okay, I'm just gonna say it.
Okay.
Because he says porch monkey,
Ah.
and he didn't know it was a racist thing. His character in the movie, right?
Uh-huh.
And he just thought it meant like a lazy guy who sits on the porch. And his mom always said that.
Like a
about
couch potato.
Yeah. And so
God.
then, like, through half of the movie, his whole thing is like, no, it's not racist. Some people turned it that way, and we're going to take it back. So then his whole mantra is, we're taking it back. And then, so he's got this shirt on that says porch monkey across the back of it.
I think I have seen this.
And he's walking around, and everybody's giving him weird looks, and he's like, what? No, it's not like that. We're taking it back.
Taking it back. That can
Yeah.
be taken so horribly.
That's what you made me think of, because I did not know that phrase was racist. Now, even if I didn't do anything, I have to say it like that. I didn't do anything.
Right. Yeah. You can't say it didn't do nothing now.
Fuck.
That's all I got,
These
guys.
stupid white people got to take things away from
You
us.
got a lot off your chest. Huh?
I did.
We should have named this one.
I know. I was
Get
thinking
off
about
your
that
chest.
when I was coming up with things to talk about. And we should have named this episode "Get It Off Your Chest" other than the last one. But I got a good name for this one.
All right.
You guys know it because you read it.
Something I wanted to bring up real quick
What's that?
is you were talking about the activating the military, and we were talking about the curfew due to the riots we had in our city.
Mm-hmm.
Our governor, Gary Herbert, activated the National Guard in the city.
Our governor? Oh yeah, he did.
I don't know what that means. I haven't seen him on the street corners, but I also haven't been close to like the inner city.
Mhm.
So
I don't know what that means either, bro. I don't know.
but I did
But I did
thought
hear
it was
that.
important. It was relevant.
Yeah, we're on curfew, and I'm past curfew right now.
Ooh.
But
You
I'm
have a
I'm
letter of
essential though, so
essentiality.
I'm good. Yeah. Excuse me.
You're
I
allowed
could
to
be out. Yeah, I could be out now. So it's all good, people. Thanks for worrying about me. Is that it, guys?
I don't know. I feel like I could go on forever. but
Couldn't we,
I've
though?
said my piece, and I know that not everybody thinks that white people should have a say in it or a dog in the fight. But if you're white out there and you can't stand up against innocent people getting killed, then you're just as bad as the murderers.
You ain't right.
themselves.
White ain't right. No, I'm joking. No, but
Yeah,
seriously
man.
though, I think that white people should definitely speak out about this. Just don't be those white people in the black hoods doing shit and blaming it on black people. Just don't do that.
Don't be doing that.
But we appreciate you guys for speaking out. We appreciate you guys, as always, for listening. Follow us at Convosaries on everything. Convosaries Podcast if you can't find it. I am Reg Travels.
I am Dash Makota.
And you can find me at The Chosen One.
Thank you guys for paying attention. And until next time, peace. In the Middle East and in America.
Man, fuck, dude.